Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Jagannath. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Radha Krishna Chandra, Radha Krishna Chandra, Radhe. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladevo, Jaya Subhadra Maiya. Jaya Prabhupada.
Vishubhad Paramhamsa Parivrajakacharya Stotarasa Shri Hijwan Grace Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavranta Ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैस्तिकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, chapter number 20, text number 13. Rajaha pradhanam mahata. Rajaha pradhanam mahata. Rajaha pradhanam mahata. Trilingo Daiva chodita. Trilingo Daiva chodita. Trilingo Daiva chodita. Jataha Sasarja Bhutadi. Jataha Sasarja Bhutadi. Jataha Sasarja Bhutadi. Vyad Adini Panchashaha. Vyad Adini Panchashaha. Vyad Adini Panchashaha. Rajaha Pradhana Mahata. Trilingo Daiva chodita. Jataha Sasarja Bhutadhi. Vyad Adini Panchashaha. Rajaha Pradhana Mahata. Trilingo Daiva chodita. Jataha Sasarja Bhutadi. Vyad Adini Panchashaha. Rajaha Pradhana Mahata. Trilingo Daiva chodita. Jataha Sasarja Bhutadi. Vyad Adini Panchashaha. Rajaha Pradhanam Mahata. Trilingo Daiva chodita. Jataha Sasarja Bhutadi. Vyad Adini Panchashaha. Rajaha Pradhanam Mahata. Trilingo Daiva chodita. Jataha Sasarja Bhutadi. Vyad Adini Panchashaha. Rajaha Pradhanam Mahata. Trilingo Daiva chodita. Jataha Sasarja Bhutadi. Vyad Adini Panchashaha. Rajaha Pradhanam Mahata. Trilingo Daiva chodita. Jataha Sasarja Bhutadi. Vyad Adini Panchashaha. What word meaning? Rajaha Pradhana, in which the elements of rajas or passion predominates. Mahataha, from the Mahatattva. Trilingaha, the three kinds. Daiva Chodita, impelled by superior authority. Jataha, was born. Sasarja, evolved. Bhuta Adivihi, the false ego, origin of material elements. We are the ether, Adhini, beginning with Panchashaha, in groups of five. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. As impelled by the destiny of the jiva, the false ego, which is of three kinds, evolved from the Mahatattva, in which the element of rajas predominates. From the from the ego, in turn, evolved many groups of five principles. Translation with repetition. As impelled by the destiny of the jiva, the false ego, which is of three kinds, evolved from the Mahatattva, in which the element of rajas predominates. From the ego, in turn, evolved many groups of five principles. Purport. The primordial matter or prakriti, material nature, consisting of three modes, generates four groups of five. The first group is called elementary and consists of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. The second group of five is called tanmatra, referring to the subtle elements, sense objects, sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. The third group is the five sense organs for acquiring knowledge: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. The fourth group is five working senses: speech, hands, feet, anus, and genitals. Some say that there are five groups of five. One group is the sense object, one is the five elements, one is the five sense organs for acquiring knowledge, another is sense of working, and fifth group is five deities who controls these divisions. The sense of Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chukshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namah Om Vaishnavadhaya Krishna Preshvaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashanti Deshatarini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vranda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Chapter Conversation between Maitreya and Vidura. the chapter begins with the Shaunaka is inquiring from Suta Goswami. Suta Goswami narrated the history of Varahadeva killing and this was a conversation between this history of Varahadeva is a conversation of the Maitreya Muni and Vidura. Vidura inquiring for Maitreya. Maitreya was telling this Shishi Radha Krishna Kshi Nitai Gunakshi Shila Prabhupada. This great history of Varahadeva. After the completion of this narration, Shaunaka further inquired. The conversation between these great sages like Maitreya, Vidura is very enlightening and because its subject related to the Lord. So then Shaunaka tells Suta Goswami, narrate furthermore conversation between Maitreya and Vidura. So Suta Goswami say, after hearing the Varaha Leela from Maitreya Muni, Vidura further inquired from the Maitreya Rishi. So Vidura inquires, since you know the matter inconceivable to us, tell me, O holy sage, what did Brahma do to create living being after evolving the Prajapatis, the progenitor of living beings? So the Vidura and Maitreya conversation is the beginning of this particular canto, third canto. Third canto begins with the Maitreya and Vidura's conversation. Many topics are discussed. The one of the topics Maitreya spoke to Vidura is about the creation. So Lord created the universe or the planetary system, Sarga, and later on Lord revealed the Vedic knowledge to the Brahma, and he advised Brahma to do the secondary creation. It's called Visarga. So Brahma has created the living entities. Progenitor, here say that is the reason Vidura is asking, since you know the matter is inconceivable to us. Matter is inconceivable, that matter is not in our control. Brahma not able to create a matter. Matter is created by the Lord Himself. The planetary system is created by the Lord Himself. And using those elements of matter, and the Brahma created the living entities. And Brahma is not created the living entity, and the living entity already exists. He designed the whole system of living entities. Our different 84 lakhs of species, all the species, how this that is the division is made by design is made by Brahma based on the Vedic knowledge. So tell me, the holy sage, what did Brahma do? Create the living beings after evolving the Prajapatis and progenitor of the living beings. So the Brahma got the Vedic knowledge. Then the Brahma alone is not create the living entities. Brahma created Prajapatis. After creating the Prajapatis, Prajapatis are like so many Prajapatis are there. Daksha Pradapati, Pachetas, Pulaha, Agastya, Kashyapa, Vasishtha, Gautama, Angira, Atri. They are the Prajapatis, so many Prajapatis. and Brahma advised them to increase the progeny population. Not only human being, there are also Manus, also the Prajapatis. In the beginning of before this chapter, there is Manu, Swayambhuva Manu. After Brahma created the Brahma asked the Swayambhuva Manu rule in the earth. So here asking, okay, involve the Prajapatis in the progenitor of the living beings. Vidura is asking. Vidura further inquired, how did Prajapatis of the living entities, as Marichi, Swayambhuva Manu, create according to the instruction of Brahma? And how did they evolve his manifested universe? So Brahma is advised this, and then how he involved all these Prajapatis. Did they evolve the creation by the advise them and evolve the living entities? So now further here, did they evolve the creation of injection with their respective wives? Did they remain independent in their action, or did all jointly produce? These Prajapatis are later on married. And now the Vidura is asking, did they evolve the creation in conjunction with their respective wives, or they use their wives to create the living entity, or independent of their wives, or both together? Did all jointly produce it? So, because the creation something is very, very complicated topic. An animal cannot create something. And again, human being is creating animals. Because according to material system, okay, animals give birth to animals. Human give birth to human being. Now Brahma can't advise some animal, okay, now you also increase the progeny. So he created only Prajapatis. And then Brahma advised Prajapati to produce all the living entities, not only human being, all the other living entities also, out of 84 lakh species. So that is the reason it's very curious for the Vidura. Did the Prajapatis created by uniting with their wives, or independently, or both together they created? This is a question. So Maitreya Muni is answering in future verses. So all these topics are very, very interesting, because beyond that is the reason there Maitreya says inconceivable. These all the matter is inconceivable. Even other the inconceivable means beyond the human creation. So Lord is empowered the Brahma, and Brahma is empowered all the other Prajapatis to increase the population. So before in the creation chapter, Brahma created. Brahma has given the Lord has given the task to Brahma. So when Brahma creating, after the creation, Brahma offered prayer to the Lord, because such a huge task Brahma is in front. It is as good as, okay, how the Lord is capable, that is the capacity of Brahma looks like for the common, because Lord's capacity is much, much more. Sometimes bewildering to common people, a Brahma is so powerful, so he has great personality. still Brahma is afraid of this fame of creating a such a great task. That is in human nature. Okay, someone is achieved something, someone is do some wonderful activity. It is not so easy. Then that bring a pride. So that's the reason Brahma is asking the Lord, okay, oh my Lord, so I am worried about, okay, this fame may bewildered me and is carried away by Maya. So he offered in the prayer is protect me. Because one of the topic in the today's verse is false ego. So the Brahma Vidura is asking, because it is very, very tough. That is the reason very interesting that the Vidura is want to know about from the Maitreya Muni. Maitreya Muni is asking, Maitreya said, when the equilibrium of the combination of the three modes of nature are agitated by unseen activities of the living entity, by Mahavishnu and by the force of time, the total material elements are produced. So, here no one's involvement is there other than the Mahavishnu. By telling, when an equilibrium combination of the three modes of nature are agitated by unseen activities, because in the beginning there is a Prakriti was there before the Brahma. Three modes of nature. And when Mahavishnu entered and the influence of time, because time is also not created by Brahma, because time is eternal. Time is the energy of the Lord. So, influence of the force of time, the total material elements are produced. All the material elements are produced before the Brahmas came into existence. So that was Maitreya. He giving the just backup of these things discussed in earlier chapters. So now so furthermore Maitreya say Rajaha Pradhanam Mahatas Trilingo Daiva Choditaha Jataha Sasarja Bhutadhir Vyad Adini Panchashaha. As impelled by the destiny of the Jiva, the false ego, which is of three kinds, evolved from the Mahatattva, in which the elements of Rajas predominate. From the ego, in turn, evolves many groups of 5 principles. As impelled by the destiny of the Jiva, karma, destiny of the Jiva, the false ego. So, in the previous verse, purport, Prabhupada writes, the material creation exists for the conditioned soul who wanted to become a false lord for sense enjoyment. One cannot trace out the history of when the conditioned soul first desired to lord it over the material nature. Because the real nature of the Jiva is a servant of the Lord. And in its original position as a servant in the original abode, the spiritual abode, the Jiva is to experience the highest happiness, association of the Lord. And when a Jiva is experiencing such high level of happiness, then where is the chance for this lord it over? Or again, in another way also, when a jiva enters the spiritual world, the jiva is in full knowledge. When a jiva has the full knowledge, then how, this is a normal question, okay, how, what made me to fall down in the material world? So in another way, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Tad gatva na nivartante tad namam paramamama. Tad, once enter the spiritual world, there is no comeback. Tad dhamam, that is the greatness of my world. Yad gatva, once you go to the spiritual world, na nivartante, you never come back. That is the greatness of my world. Then how the living entities came from that spiritual world? This is the biggest question. So that is the reason Prabhupada says, so it is very difficult to trace. Okay, he say, one cannot trace out the history of when the conditioned soul first desired to lord it over the material nature. But the Vedic literature, we always find that the material creation is meant for sense enjoyment of the conditioned soul. When a jiva is desired to enjoy, this material world is created for his enjoyment. That's the truth. Then when the jiva is desired for the self-enjoyment, is very difficult to trace. Very difficult to trace. So further, Prabhupada says, there is a nice verse which says that the sum and substance of the conditioned soul's enjoyment is that as soon as he forgets the primary duty of rendering service to the Lord. When jiva give up his service to the Lord, that is the beginning of self-enjoyment. So, very important topic here. So, once the jiva give up his duty or service to the Lord, from where the beginning of material existence, one want to remain in the spiritual consciousness, he continuously do the service to the Lord. Once he stops service to the Lord, that is a Maya. Prabhupada says here, he creates an atmosphere of enjoyment which is called Maya. Maya means material. He creates, okay, when a jiva is desiring for self-enjoyment. So, the whole spiritual practices or spiritual principles to give up our own self-enjoyment and engages our senses in the service of the Lord. When same senses are utilized for our own enjoyment, and that is the Maya. That is a Maya. So, the primordial matter or Prakriti, material nature, consists of three modes, generates four groups of five. The first group is called elementary and consists of earth. So, there are, Prabhupada talks about there are five groups of five things, five groups of five elements. So, one is a Panchabhuta, Panchendriya, and five sense objects, and five Karmendriya, and five predominating deities who are controlling the senses. Total five group of five. And with the combination of this, a jiva is executing his sense enjoyment in this material world. And what is the cause? As impelled by the destiny of the jiva, the false ego. The false ego of three kinds. ego are three kinds: Shanta, Gora, Mudhatva. Three types of false ego. Prabhupada described this. Okay. So the false ego and the material world. I am this body. They also divided into the false ego. Mean one is identifying with those own body, that this body is I. This material is world is belong to me. I and mine. This is a false ego. I am this body is divided into three. One is a Shanta, Ghora and Mudatvam. According to the modes of material nature, Shanta means sober. Person who are in the mode of goodness. For them, this material world is manifest in the manner of its constituency. And those who are modes of goodness, they can see things as they are. Okay, who are mode of goodness, or whose false ego is Shanta. What the ego is Shanta, they are able to see the things as they are. The Ghora, those who are in the modes of passion, they are unnecessarily going on making plans and full of activities without any aim of life. This is called Ghora, without aim of life. And the Mudatvam, that is like animal, do not know what is the aim of life and what for he is working, what is the value of life, nothing of sort. So this is a Mudatva. There are three types of false egos. But all the false egos are not good. So one want to come out of the false ego. So one have to rise from the mode of Mudatvam or ignorance to passion, where his ego is Ghora. Then rise above this is in goodness, Shanta, where he is able to identify the things they are. Okay, there is a material world, there is a creator, there is a supreme Lord, all these things he is able to understand. And knowing knowledge itself is not sufficient to get out of the false ego. Okay, theoretically we all know, okay, we are the servant of the Lord. This material world is a Maya, and there are a lot of problems. Theoretically we know, but we not convinced of the solution to all this problem is completely absorbed in the service of the Lord. And that absorbed the service of the Lord, I able to give up, I able to come out of all the problems, and it's a final solution for all the problems of this material world. This is we not convinced of. Why not convinced of? Repeatedly we are involved in sense enjoyment. The force of enjoyment, till the force of sense enjoyment is there with us, the complete realization of the God is impossible. The process of devotional service is purifying. The first is, okay, we'll understand the knowledge and we try to implement the knowledge, and these are the tapasya. And come out of this false identification and enter into the real identification. I am the servant of the Lord, and that my constitutional position. When a fish is taken out of the water, whatever the material comfortable given to the fish is always looking for the water. It is not comfortable. Similarly, for a jiva, our real enjoyment or the finishing of the problem of the life is service to the Lord. So one is properly convinced, and that conviction will come repeatedly engaging in the service of the Lord. For example, something is not palatable, you keep on consuming, one day you develop the taste for those things. Similarly, so devotion practice is not pleasurable, but as a principle, as a order given by the Acharya and Shastra, one continuously engage so that all this false identification will go out. Otherwise, if you engage more and more false identification, and it will contaminate us, and which makes us away from the Lord. So the false ego is variety. In false ego, variety of things. Okay, material identification. Okay, some are very subtle. Some of the false egos are very, very gross. Subtle mean, okay, will enjoy from something. Okay, here is a lord it over tendency. Lording it over tendencies, some of the things are subtle way. Name, fame, recognition, subtle. Gross enjoyment, okay, some food, some material enjoyment, practically, I mean, we experience through our senses directly. So subtle things not experienced directly through not directly through the senses, they experience through the mind. But all these ones are obstacle. So, as one continuously endeavor to give up the false ego, and that will happen serious devotion practices. And this is tapasya, purifying the senses. By purifying the senses, one day it will happen sarvopadi muktam tatparatvena nirmalam. All the designations will ride away. Tatparatvena nirmalam. In that way, purified senses. One able engages all the senses in the service of the Lord. And this is a long journey for the jiva. So all these topics are very necessary to understand how I entangle here in different way. The great science, all this conversation between the great acharyas or saints, revealing us, though very properly with a lot of attention, hearing and understanding the Bhagavatam, so we are able to get out of this all, how we have entangled this material world. So, so one should take the advantage of all these Bhagavatam topics. And very interesting also, one of the symptoms of advancement is taking pleasure in hearing the Bhagavatam. So, and otherwise, okay, if you really, if you analyze every topic of the Bhagavatam, it's very interesting. It's a great science. Like some scientific topics or scientific research are very interesting. Some material topics related to science. Similarly, advanced science of Bhagavatam, and is also very interesting. But we need lot of tapasya for the Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna, stop. Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.